Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Today we are once again back in Warframe because I have promised this like last year, so I guess it's about time I cover Lavos Prime. The alchemist Warframe with the ability to literally infuse any element into his abilities, and you do that by just simply holding your 4 abilities, and that will add one of the 4 base elemental damage types onto those abilities. He's also a very good Warframe for railjack because it makes it so you don't have to use energy for your abilities, you just have to wait a little bit of a cooldown. Anyways, that's enough introductions for now, so let's jump into the build. Starting from Lavos' abilities. His passive allows him to gain status immunity for 10 seconds when picking up energy or universal orbs, and in addition to all of this, he's able to infuse any elemental damage he wants onto his abilities by just holding the specific ability. And what that basically means is that you can hold your first ability to gain toxin on your ability, you can then hold your second ability, and this will infuse into the existing toxin into viral damage, and whenever you cast one of your abilities, it will also be dealing viral damage, plus whatever element you already had on that ability. So let's say we wanna hold R3 and R4 for electric and heat, we then gain radiation. And this infuses radiation on any of our abilities, and it's very cool because on your viral rush, which is your second ability, you're going to actually be able to see the actual element on the ground. So let's say we infuse just heat on our vial rush, and our vials will then have a little fire, which is, yeah, that's a very little cool thing you can notice in game. Moving to the first ability, this one is called Ophidian Bite, and this ability will deal base toxin damage, which means you can then add on top of this any of the other elements you want by combining them with the passive skill that Lavos has. And you can hold it to imbue toxin on any of your other abilities. When you deal damage with Ophidian Bite, you will also be able to drain some HP from your enemies and heal Lavos for a certain percentage. And from this ability, we can also see a recurring thing on Lavos Kit, which is going to be a cooldown on all of his abilities instead of consuming any energy, because Lavos does not have any energy at all, he just has to deal with those cooldowns. Moving to the second ability, we have Via Rush, and this is the ability I was using before to move around, and while you are moving very fast, you will also be dropping these mines on the ground that deal cold damage at base. You can hold this ability to imbue cold on your next ability cast. The number of charges you have on Via Rush will depend on your ability range, so the more range you have, the more of these charges. You can interrupt the charge at any point just by jumping or recasting the ability. Then we have his third ability called the Transmutation Probe. This is the most important skill in your kit because it's the one that reduces the cooldowns of all your other abilities. When casting Transmutation Probe, you launch the probe forward into a certain direction, and all energy and health orbs in the ground will be transformed into universal orbs, and all ammo pickups will be transformed into universal ammo pickups. The probe will also shock all enemies in its path, and this is when the cooldown reduction comes in, because every time you shock an enemy, you will reduce the cooldown of all your other abilities by a certain duration. This duration is dependent on your ability efficiency, so the more efficiency you have, the more cooldown reduction you get from the shocks. And by holding Transmutation Probe, you imbue electricity onto your next ability cast. And finally we have Catalyze, which is Lavos' fourth ability. This is the ability that everyone loves in Lavos Kit because it's the one that clears the whole map and deals millions and millions of damage to all the enemies it touches. When casting Catalyze, you summon a bunch of drones around you, and all these drones will fly in a radial direction from Lavos' points of casting, and they deal a lot of heat damage. But the reason why this deals so much damage is because that damage is doubled for each element afflicting an enemy. So every time there's a new status applied to an enemy, that means they can take double the amount of damage. So yeah, it's just exponential damage, and yeah, it just deletes pretty much anything that it comes in contact with, which is pretty cool. And by holding this ability, you instead gain heat on your next ability cast. A couple more things to know about Lavos Kit, which you can find in the tips section of his abilities, are that he gains more status duration by having more ability duration. The conversion is 1-to-1, so the more ability duration you have, the more status duration, which is great because of heat and all of the other damage types that deal more damage based on the duration. And the second thing is that he deals an additional instance of damage based on the element you imbue on his abilities. So let's say I have base Toxin on my Ophidian Bite. I also infuse electricity. I deal both Toxin and electricity, and they both deal 1550 damage, which basically doubles the amount of damage you're dealing. So it's always nice to imbue literally any element before casting your abilities. Now moving to the Archon Shards, this came down to mostly personal preference, so this is what I'm currently using, but you can of course try and see what you prefer. The thing I think it's mandatory is more casting speed, because he will be casting abilities quite a lot, and yeah, this is just a no-brainer. I also have Madurai for that, but we'll see more on that later. I also have 2 Crimson Shards with Duration. You can go for the normal ones, they don't have to be Tower Forge. As long as you have Archon Shards, it's already good enough. And then the special things are more ability damage on enemies affected by Corrosive, and since we'll be using Corrosive to also armor strip them, thanks to our second Emerald Archon Shard that grants us 3 more stacks of Corrosive, we are dealing a lot more damage to all enemies. And this is the build I use on Lavos. Corrosive Projection to reduce enemies' armor by 18%, and this combined with the traditional attacks to Corrosive means we can actually armor strip enemies by just casting our abilities, which is pretty cool. Cannon Drift in my Exilo slot, and I don't have Prime Sure-Footed for the simple reason that he is passive. He is pretty much Prime Sure-Footed, although just for 10 seconds every time you pick up an energy or universal orb. So keep in mind you might be vulnerable to knockdowns, but that usually doesn't really happen that much because once again of your passive. Then I have Arcane Vitality to apply double the amount of heat damage when casting abilities, and that's a no-brainer because Catalyze deals base heat damage, so we are dealing double the amount just at the start, plus the double, it just gets incredibly, stupidly dumb strong, which is what we want in Warframe. Transient Fortitude for more ability strength and the cost of some ability duration, Augur Reach and Stretch for ability range, and the passive from Augur Reach will not work, so don't try and use the Augur set on Lavos. It doesn't work, he does not have any energy at all, once again, he just has cooldowns. Then I'm also using Archon Continuity, and this is not only for the ability duration, but because whenever we deal toxin damage, we also apply corrosive. And we will be applying corrosive most of the time, so this is just a way to help with that, and help with the armor strip. Adaptation to reduce the damage we take, and then 2 of Lavos Augments. Valence Formation will make it so our passive also grants us a 200% elemental damage bonus on our weapon based on whatever element we imbued onto our abilities and then used. And that lasts for 20 seconds and cannot be affected by neither ability strength or ability duration, so it's just a 200% more elemental damage of the damage type we used. And the other augment is Lingering Transmutation, and this makes it so our probe does not just go out and then disappear, it also comes back to the casting position and then stays there for 15 seconds, which are affected by ability duration, so this can go up to like 30 seconds quite easily. And by staying in place, it can shock more enemies, thereby reducing the cooldowns of our other abilities by a lot, which is, it's actually a pretty good augment, and I think this is what actually fixed my Lavos build, because before I was just having issues with the cooldowns, it was just a bit too boring for me, so yeah, this is actually a pretty good augment to have. Now for the Arcanes, I'm using Arcane Impetus for more ability strength and ability efficiency by applying unique status effects with our abilities, and we literally have access to all the elemental types in the game, so it's quite easy to get like 8 to 9 stacks of this Arcane, even 10, so you can get like 60% ability strength and 30% ability efficiency, which will also affect the cooldown reduction of our Transmutation Probe for 20 seconds, which is a very long time, and we will pretty much refresh this ability quite often, so it's a great Arcane to have. If you don't have it, just go for Molt Augmented. It gives you 60% more ability strength without any big conditions, which is, yeah, it's another option. And as for the other one, I went for the new Arcane Concentration, which is a 60% ability duration on ability cast. And yeah, you kinda have to time this a little bit, because all of Lavos cooldowns are above the 3 seconds, but usually you just cast your Ophidian Bite and then your Catalyze, let's say, or you can just cast your Vile Rush or whatever. Just keep in mind you have to cast your first or second ability before casting your Transmutation Probe or your Catalyze, because those are the most important ones to have that additional 60% ability duration. And let's also not forget that that 60% duration also applies to the status duration. So yeah, it's a pretty good arcane for Lavos. Now moving to the weapons, I'm using the Pseudo Prime, the Atomos, and the Galariac Prime, which is a new weapon you get from the Perita Rebellion, and it's a pretty good one on Lavos. We'll see why later. As for the Pseudo Prime, I already have a full video dedicated to this weapon, but this is the build I will be using. Just a lot of heat damage and a bunch of statuses and all of that, and Shotgun Vendetta for the crazy amount of multi-shot it gives us. And then we have the Atomos, which is the Incarnum form of the Atomos, not just the normal version, and this also has corrosive on it, so we don't have to actually apply corrosive with our abilities, although we can, but this is just so much faster to apply like 13 stacks of corrosive in no time. It just has such a crazy fire rate and everything else, and links to enemies, and it's just a great weapon for Lavos. And these are the Incarnum evolutions I have on it. The first one sadly does not really happen that much, but it's still more damage once in a while, so yeah, I think it's worth having that. And now for the Galariac Prime, I'll have a full video dedicated to this weapon, but this is the build I will be probably using for the video as well. So here's a little sneak peek. It's a very good weapon, and the reason why it's so good on Lavos is because it gains final crit chance for each unique status effect on the target, and we already established that Lavos can apply all of the status effects other than the physical ones. So yeah, that's going to be a lot of crit chance for our melee weapon on Lavos. Now moving to the focus tree, I am of course using Madurai for the usual 40% power strength and 50% casting speed. Most importantly the casting speed, because we will be casting abilities quite a lot. I also unlocked the Thara Tauron Strike, which is going to be the bow. This is not going to be used that much, but it does give you another 50% ability strength if you actually use it. So there is that to consider. I don't think it's the best Tauron Strike, but 50% more ability strength on top of the already existing 40% from the base tree. That's 90%, and that's a lot of ability strength. As for the mods I have on the actual bow, it's a bit buggy in the Simulacrum. Sometimes it doesn't work, but there we go. I have more amp multi-shot, more amp fire rate and ammo efficiency, more Tauron Strike initial charge. This mod here is quite nice to have to break containers, and then more max amp energy and amp energy regen rate, because that's just nice to have on our amp. As for the Arcane, I think it's going to be the most important one yet, and that's because it grants us an additional 250% more hit damage whenever we kill enemies with our Operator or Tauron Strike, which in a long mission will eventually stack up quite a lot. So it's just free damage on our secondary weapon, and our secondary weapon being the Atomos, which already has heat on it. It gives us a massive amount of damage for free. Then for your companion, I think you can use whatever you want. I just really like the Panzer Pofila for the fact that he spreads viral by himself, which is nice because I don't have to actually keep in mind to always apply viral myself, which might be a bit annoying since we are already casting so many abilities with Lavos. So he does that for me, and also grants me 1.2x more final crit damage multiplier, which is nothing to laugh about. He also armor strip enemies if I am not doing that, because it can happen. It also spreads the armor strip to all other enemies nearby, and does so much more, like spreading statuses to all enemies, and this will deal millions of damage, especially with Lavos. And yeah, it's just a great pet to have, and this is the build I have on its little paws. And yeah, that's pretty much the whole build, so let's now see it in action. And as usual, we have our 20 rapid heavy gunners, level 230 with steel pan modifiers, and my pet has already spread viral to all of them, which means they are probably already dead. 1 second. Okay, the Panzer has been put in timeout for now, not because he's a bad boy, just I need him to chill a bit. That was a bit too much damage. Anyways, the way you use Lavos, as we said, you want to infuse things on your abilities and use that to deal more damage and spread more statuses. And the cool thing is that if you're not applying a damaging status like Toxin, we can actually apply more than 1 stack per cast ability. So in that case, we actually had 3 viral stacks instead of 1 Toxin, and that's going to be the thing for pretty much all the non-damaging ones. So let's say I want to have Radiation, that also will add, in this case, 3. And yeah, that's pretty much how it works. It's a nice little thing, very convenient. But most importantly, we can apply viral to all enemies. We can then, let's say, we want to have blast, because why not? We want gas on our transmutation probe, sure. And let's say magnetic on our catalyze. And they are now taking hundreds of thousands of damage from the heat proc. And that's pretty cool. And since we have a lot more free duration thanks to Arcane Concentration, yeah, the heat procs will last for a while and deal a lot of damage. As you may have noticed, I also have 10 stacks of Arcane Impetus, which is 60% ability strength and 30% more ability efficiency. And yeah, it's just great. I just really like this build. It works quite well, and it deals so much damage, especially with Blast, since Blast deals more damage based on ability duration, and we do have quite a lot of ability duration. Yeah, it's really fun. Also, I don't know what's happening with the transmutation probe. It just became some kind of black hole, but that's also really cool. Now let's bring back our little pet, and let's add his mayhem to Lavos mayhem, and yeah, it's gonna take like seconds to like do whatever we want, and everything is that. I'm not even gonna infuse anything on my 4 because there's already enough statuses and damage on enemies. Yeah, it's great. It's actually great. It feels good, and our transmutation probe will also be applying blast and whatever we apply onto it. It just is great. It just is great. It works so well. And if you're wondering about survivability, it's not that big of a deal, but I wish he had something for that, because only having a feed and buy to heal yourself usually isn't that great. Let me actually summon some unpaused enemies. And yeah, like if we just stand still, we will die, obviously, like like any other Warframe is the same. But usually, if you're just casting abilities, you shouldn't have any big issues, because everything around you is dead, so they cannot shoot at you. So you don't die. Now, for weapons, I mean, the Sido is great on Lavos, because we can just shoot the Sido, apply all the statuses we want, and then infuse any element on our 4, cast our 4, everything is dead. It's great. And then we have the Lavos Prime, which starts with already having like crazy crit, because of all the statuses we are applying onto enemies. And that means we can finish off anything that our 4 does not kill, because we're dealing hundreds of thousands of damage with each hit. And it also has some good range, some good mobility. Like, it's actually a great weapon in general. It's weirdly enough just a normal sight, not a dual-handed one, although it's really long. But that's cool. And then for the Atomos, I mean, it's the Atomos. It's a great weapon already by itself. On Lavos, it becomes a monster because it can do this. And since it's an Incarnon Atomos, we can also charge the Incarnor meter eventually after killing like 2 million enemies, and we can drop bombs or nukes or whatever you want to call them onto enemies, and we don't have to care about being knocked down because we have status immunity, so we can just fire the weapon at our feet, and that's pretty cool. I just think this works quite well. I think this weapon setup on Lavos is actually pretty fun. And yeah, that's Lavos Prime. I really wish we got all these mods and Arcanes and Lavos buffs a while ago, because it just makes this gameplay so much better, so much more fun to actually kill enemies and play, because you have to cast a lot of abilities and like hold and cast. It takes a while, so having all these tools to actually increase his power, it actually feels like it's fun now and not a chore. I was steadily only using Lavos, as I said, for Railjack, and I actually, like, this is the build I was using for Railjack, okay? Like, this is not a good build. This is a good build. But yeah, it's whatever. It's now in a better place, and with this skin, he looks so much better. And yeah, good job DE giving us some Lavos tools, because he is now a fun Warframe. Alright, I'll now leave you guys to the showcase where I test this build for 10 minutes in a Grenade Steel Pass Survival, so you can see how it performs in a more realistic scenario. If you enjoyed the video, remember to leave a like, and if you like my content, consider subscribing. I wish you a beautiful rest of the day, a beautiful Christmas, and I hope you get whatever you want from your friends, your family, your games, whatever it is. Just have a great time, enjoy the holidays, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
I don't wanna think about you. I'm done with you. I'm done with you. I'm done with you. It was for tonight. I'm done with you. I'm done with you. I'm done with you.
You take my mouth, raise my sins. I can't breathe or shout, overheating. Oh, I don't know what to say. I don't know where to start. Words feel like we're strangers, drifting only apart. I'm overheating. I don't know where to start. Words feel like we're strangers, drifting only apart. I'm overheating. Stuck in the same old feeling, feel so detached. My vocal cords are bleeding, overreact. Oh, I don't know what to say. I don't know where to start. Words feel like we're strangers, drifting only apart. I'm overheating.
sweet, but you blink and then you miss it. You blink and then you miss it, miss it, miss it. Life gone, kinda think you're gonna kick it. Keep fading in and out of the picture, and it's so sad, but you blink and then you miss it. You blink and then you miss it, miss it, miss it. I'ma pull up to the club with tequila in my cup. Pour it till I've had enough. Feel the empty in my heart. I'ma pull up to the club with tequila in my cup. Pour it till I've had enough. Feel the empty in my heart. Na 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 na. Yeah yeah. Na 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 yeah yeah. I'ma pull up to the club with tequila.